Hi, welcome everyone to the next part of the RSA video series. In this part, we'll focus on how we can define different types of member properties to illustrate the structural behavior and also make changes to the orientation of the elements. Now, there are different methods of defining member properties. We can either define them through the object properties within the object inspector, or we have dedicated menus for defining these special properties. The first property that we'll look at is defining the releases for the different types of elements. So by default, each beam is treated as a fixed beam in robot. Now, if I want to define certain beams as simply supported beams, or if I want to release the beams about certain degrees of freedom, that is where I will define member end releases to the different elements. So for example, in this case, for those two secondary beams, we want to release them about rotations, or we want to illustrate to robot that they won't be resisting any moments. So here, once we go to the geometry menu and pick up the releases option, it opens up the releases dialog box, and there you can see there are a lot of default release conditions which are available in robot. We can make use of either the default ones, or we can create our own release conditions. Now, releases could be defined both at the start and the end of the member uniquely, and you can again define a unique label to identify that release condition individually. In this case, we already have a default condition, which is the pinned condition that we want to associate to the secondary member. So we can select the element and then we can apply the property. Once you apply that release to the element, you will see that robot automatically displays the release code at the ends of the member. In case it is not visible in your machines, you can turn on the display through the display menu. So once the display is turned on, you can see the release code which has been defined for the releases. So in this case, because it's a pinned condition, you can see it mentions XXX FFF, which indicates that we've released all the 3 degrees of rotation for that particular element at that particular node. It also shows the release symbol for that element. The same property can also be defined through the object properties menu within object inspector. So you have the release tool, and again, based on one of the preset release conditions, from the drop down you can pick the respective condition and it will automatically be assigned to the member. The next property that we are going to look at is the gamma angle property. Now, gamma angle is a pretty interesting property. What it allows me to do is change the orientation of the member about its local x-axis. Now, if I look at this column, currently you see that the column is oriented, or the web of the column is oriented in the YZ plane. So let's say I want to change the orientation of the member such that the web is oriented in the XZ plane. That is what gamma angle allows me to do. So it allows me to rotate the member about its local x-axis. So I've also turned on the visibility of the local axis system for the members. The blue arrow is what indicates the local x-axis of a particular element. So it is always from the start node to the end node of the member, or it is parallel to the direction indicated from the start node to the end node. Now this property becomes particularly useful when we want to change the orientation. Also, in case I want to apply certain loadings on inclined members, which I need to apply perpendicular to the member, I will make use of the local x-axis of the member, or local axis system of that member. The next property that we are going to look at is an advanced property where we can define the structural behavior of the element. Like for example, if I have some specialized elements which can only resist tension or compression forces, or if I have trusses defined, and for the truss elements I want to indicate that these only carry axial forces, that is what these advanced properties allow me to do. So in this particular case, I have these 2 brace elements and I want to define a truss condition to them. So that is basically what we can do through that advanced properties option. The final thing that we are going to look at is defining the support or boundary conditions for the structure. So again, this can be defined through the geometry menu, and we can go to the supports tool. By default, again, robot has predefined support conditions. So either we can make use of these conditions or we can create our own boundary conditions. The boundary conditions could be defined either for joints, it could be defined for linear elements or even for planar elements. So let's say if I'm defining a mat foundation, so for the entire mat, I can define one unique support condition. Also, we can define the soil conditions, so that say we have an example of a mat resting on soil. So you can define the soil properties and it will automatically compute the separate reaction, so that we can study the soil structure interaction as well. Once we've identified the property, we can assign the property to the requisite joint and you can see how the support symbol displays. This brings us to the end of today's session. I hope to see you back again in the next session, in which we will discuss how we can define loads and load combinations to the structure, and we look at different types of loadings. Thank you and have a great day ahead.